for Clash.
In the upper left-hand side, our red Terran player is MarineLord.
Now, Wordy, this is a yes or no question for you. Who is working with the better tools here?
Do you even have tools in TVZ? It's just a mechanical matchup, you know? It's not about the tools, it's how you use them.
Yeah. Yes, then or no is your answer. It doesn't make any difference.
It doesn't make any difference.
Yeah. So let's see. It's gonna be a CC first. I mean, that's already spicy to start off, especially on one of the shorter maps here. Reynor going for a pull first. That's actually pretty good for MarineLord.
Yeah, it's really good for MarineLord. The advantage you get of a pool first usually is obviously you can delay the command center a little bit, right? But in this case, because it's CC first, your lings will show up after the CC is done, so you don't actually get to delay at all, and there's usually not an SCV for you chased around at all either.
Yeah, so it's kind of like stacking disadvantages, right? In that MarineLord has taken a little bit of a risk in going for this command center first. That means he's going to have economy a little bit faster than normal, and Reynor has gone the safe route, anticipating that MarineLord could be doing something like proxy to open up the series. So he is going to be hurting his economy a little bit. So you stack those two up, and all of a sudden, I mean, the gap, the economical gap will actually be significant enough that I think we can already call this, unless there's some big mess ups, a slight advantage MarineLord.
Yeah, no, I really like it for MarineLord. I feel like the follow-up's going to be strong as well. As a few lings of Reynor come across the map, he doesn't know that he's heading straight into a unfortunate situation in terms of what he's built up or what MarineLord has done. But he will do soon as a reactor on the way, refinery coming through. This double rack sub getting going. I mean, I guess immediate reactor's a little concerning, but even then, right?
Oh, I mean, man, double. Oh, no! And this ling is just going to hold position here, so the rest of his siblings are going to make it inside. This is kind of decent for Reynor, unless the MarineLord micro is incredible. I mean, one ling goes down for one SCV. That's still okay for MarineLord. Now two lings have gone down. The rest of the SCVs are fighting here for their lives, and they will do just fine. A little bit of mining lost time. 3 links for one SCV, but one SCV was kind of destined to fall here at the natural base regardless. So all in all, pretty good for MarineLord.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's still nice for Reynor. He fully confirms what's going on, right? You see Reactor Tech Lab right away. You know this is very fast stim, very fast 2-1-1 setup, most likely. So you've got that information. You know it's going to be a few more Marines than usual because he's really, you know, not done anything but goes straight to that reactor. So Marines are going to be pumping out from here on out. So that's very good information for Reynor to have. And I'd say that's the one really good thing about this. But obviously overall in terms of what was invested to find that info, etc., MarineLord should be fairly happy. We'll see what he can do with the 2-1-1 push in the near future.
Yeah, and that's going to be a license for Reynor to kind of drone up for the next minute or minute and a half before the 2 medevacs arrive, potentially from MarineLord. But MarineLord is going to be hitting a very sharp timing with a little bit more economy than you would be used to at this stage in the game. And Maru showed against Cyril too that this opening is not by any means outdated. And off of a CC first, even, it can be a little bit stronger, hit a little bit faster with a little bit more economy. I mean, things are looking pretty good for the French to start.
Yep, no, absolutely. Is Reynor, the Baneling nest so quick is, I really feel like surprising, I guess, because there's just going to be more Marines than usual. He feels like he needs a couple Banes just for the first round to force those Marines to split away and to be able to fight it at all with Ling Queen beyond that. So that's my only point of interest from Reynor's side. Otherwise, just going up into the lair and working from there.
Yeah, and Link's also kind of particularly early here, right? Like this won't hit for another 30-40 seconds, so those links are not going to really be able to find much. Maybe if he can have him out on the map, he can go for something like a counter attack, but MarineLord's already getting situated with his Wolof at the natural base very early on before moving out. So again, Reynor kind of hurting himself a little bit. Do you think he could have... I mean, he was kind of scared of the potential for MarineLord to kind of just mix things up and do his own thing. Maybe he scouts the 2 barracks and feels like MarineLord can move out just with Stim or just with combat shields without those medevacs, and kind of wants to get ready for that kind of really offbeat type of timing.
Yeah, maybe it was like 3 racks. Maybe that's what he thought it was. Okay, well, armory coming through from MarineLord is he's going to get himself ready for a Hellion Hellbat follow-up, right? Like, it's kind of funky. It's kind of cool. Like, it looks super normal, and then you switch the, reactor onto the Hellions or the factory, so you get some Hellions. You're going to have, like, a really powerful follow-up. I love the build. Like, so far, the build is fantastic, and I'm already kind of regretting my MarineLord 3 again 0-3 kind of prediction, because I really do think if he pulls out builds like this every game, it's almost impossible to be set up perfectly every time from Reynor, and there's bound to be some slip-ups.
Yeah, and a beautiful maneuver here again, just spotting 5 queens. Well, that's a lot of queens to be on the low ground. That means there's not going to be more than 1, maybe 2 queens here on this high ground. And that means MarineLord is going to get very good trades to start. Can he focus fire? The Banelings, only one of them, as they come at a weird angle, given that the bio was kind of interrupted by the gas. Be careful, MarineLord, don't run into those queens. Readjust there at the last second.
That's one thing you do not want to be doing. You don't want to be giving yourself, your opponent, chances like that. Absolutely not. Here comes. These Hellions are seen, by the way, so Reynor sees a little bit of this. He just started a few drones before that, though, but now he can put all of his other resources, at least, into unit production, so that should set up pretty well for Reynor. I suppose we'll see here in a moment or two as this Marine Force moving forward. The Banes have Baneling speed in like a few seconds. He's just going to crash them into the Hellbats to begin with. Now letting the Queens do some of the attack, and the new Banelings, they have Baneling speed. The Lings are looking for a wraparound. And for now, Reynor is cleaning up, but the Medivacs are off to the main base to try and deal further damage.
Yeah, and MarineLord doesn't seem super confident at this point in his clicking ability, right? Like, twice in a row, he has chosen to disengage against very few numbers of Banelings. This time around, goes for the focus fire and will find it, however, and that's going to net him a huge advantage here in the base of the Italian. A lot of the drones will go down. 6 have already fallen, having to evacuate the base, trading very effectively against the Ling Bane. Banes are not able to be morphed on the high ground there as well, and an Evo chamber even on the way out, I imagine, for MarineLord. Beautiful job.
Yeah, really fantastic stuff. Everything is such low HP, by the way. All of these Marines are so low now, but the Queens are chasing up a ramp with no creep. And now we see that Medivac trying to go elsewhere. The Marines are going to stim one more time. The Queens will start to clean this up, as there's one Queen on the low ground. I think that might just fall. MarineLord gets out with 1 Medivac and a couple of Marines. Reynor, it looked really dicey, but by killing off everything at the end, I think that part of this is really nice for him, because at least now he's stopped some of the further damage that maybe could have continued otherwise. And the last ending part of this trade was obviously very effective for him too. So maybe Reynor getting a step back into this, just because maybe MarineLord could have backed away like a little sooner when he had both the Medivacs alive still. That's my only real thing as well. That's an amazing Widowmine shot to stop the Baneling run by. Yeah,
I mean, that's a lot of cost in those Banelings. Those are expensive units, not to be mistaken, especially at this stage in the game, especially when you're already trailing behind. So a wonderful, wonderful start from MarineLord, who, again, for a secondary warrior, I thought, why isn't he focus firing the slow Banes, right? Like, why isn't he at least trying? Like, there was a little bit of a difficulty as far as all the Marines shooting when he was behind that extractor. So I could understand that. But even on the low ground, at some point, I felt like he could have gone for those knives. He doesn't. But in the last possible moment, when Reynor wasn't expecting it, and the Banelings are in a terrible position because they're all split from each other, he gains the confidence to trust his clicking ability. He gets those knives and a wonderful position to start, like we've been saying. So, yeah, let's see how he carries on.
Let's see, as our female Marines pulling back a little bit. Queen's going to turn around again. The Ling Bane's splitting up just slightly. And we'll see if Marine can continue through. I gotta say, one thing I don't like is that there's just so much creep on the map, right? Like, it feels like MarineLord really didn't clean up a lot of that for a long time, specifically through the middle, but that can create issues further down the line, and MarineLord still has a reasonable amount of creep in front of his bases as well, which is very important. Yeah, that part of it, I get a little bit worried for, but if I see the supplies are in MarineLord's favor, as long as MarineLord supplies in his favor, it's generally a good setup for him. But what Reynor's starting to do is he's going to make the slow progress towards the Hydras and the Lurkers. He's just got burrows, so he can set up some Baneling landmines. If he can connect a couple of those, buy himself time for Lurkers, that's how Reynor gets back into this game for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Reynor in his own right is kind of a comeback kid. He can really bring back impossible situations seemingly sometimes just by, sheer willpower. It feels like just out-clicking his opponents oftentimes, outpacing them as the game progresses. So definitely not going to count him out by any means. And yeah, I mean, the creep spread is a byproduct of two things. A, Reynor being one of the best players in the world, and B, the lack of Hellions to open up for MarineLord, right? That's just kind of the trade-off for this build order. So hard to fault him too much for that, but he's doing a good job of making and carving a space here, clearing creep little by little, and now situating some Widow Mines as well to anchor as he falls back. I like it. I like it.
I like it too. A couple of Banelings do clean up the Widow Mines there, though, and that's obviously very nice just to get a nice cleanup like that. And at the same time, we're still pushing back the top right. Like, MarineLord's really not found any progress in the last few moments. The only thing that's missing, I'd say, for Reynor is maybe the potential of actually just, you know, diving onto a base and doing some counterattack damage. That was dangerous. Those couple of Widow Mines I thought were initially going to blow up, but then they didn't. So I was like, they're going to hit everything. But it wasn't so bad.
Yeah, really good splits at the front from Reynor. Those 3 Banelings are very dangerous, but MarineLord with the presence of mind to scan ahead, knowing that Reynor is likely to do something like this. The Widow Mines, one thing that MarineLord has not been doing that well with these Widow Mines is spreading them a little bit more, right? Like, it seems like a lot of the time there's clumps of 2, sometimes 3, that then get blown up by the same group of Banelings. That shouldn't be so cost efficient for Reynor, but otherwise things have looked pretty good for the Frenchman here. He's making some progress, and now as Reynor is adding Hydras, he was, at least for a little bit, adding tanks, but now he's gone back into Widow Mine production, and that's a little bit concerning to me once the Hydras are out in numbers.
Yeah, I wonder why. I wonder if he just says maybe it's not lurkers yet, so I still like the mines against the Ling Bane aspect of it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if he was building like mines and tanks, but I feel like no tanks at all is a very dangerous kind of field to be stepping into, so we will see. Reynor still hasn't really had any counterattacks. I do feel like, you know, maybe if you could sneak a few Lings out on the map or so, that would be fantastic, of course, but there's always the question of right now, can he afford to do that? Will it be effective? Right now, he's actually looking as though he just wants to clean this up, but he didn't have Banelings to go into this group of Marines. Now, he is going to get the Medivacs, though, right? Oh, that last one, just low HP. Still gets a lot of units there, though, so big cleanup from Reynor, and MarineLord gets caught just staying for a little bit too long on that bottom side.
Yeah, beautiful flank from Reynor, but MarineLord not really anticipating that the Medivacs should be kind of hovering over his bio, right? If they're hovering over the bio, then they're a little bit better protected. Ouch! But as it stood, he had to kind of back away with those Medivacs, and in that process, he loses quite a few of them and more bio than he needed to. So Reynor already starting to stabilize, I think, is underselling it. I mean, it's looking now good for the Italian. Yeah. He is already maxed against a 140, 150 supply MarineLord, who had a wonderful start to the game. But I mean, we've talked about it. Reynor is just so good at trading come this later stages.
This is why I didn't want to believe in MarineLord, you know, in the pre-show, right? Yeah. Because even when he had such a good start, Reynor is good enough to turn these games around, to draw them out. And it takes a lot to kind of get an attack so well, so early, that it really does just knock Reynor completely off and just gives you, like, the massive game-ending lead right away. Against a lot of Zergs, this would have been enough. You know, he would have been in a great position, and he, you know, MarineLord would have probably gone through to a victory. But against Reynor, he's just so good at sorting out the situation. He fingers out. There's an attack down here. He's going to get rid of that Widow Mine. And now he can just chase down this group of Marines. He sees the Ghost and a couple more Widow Mines showing up. So he's going to back away for the moment. Respecting it. There's a couple borrowed Banelings that are just to the side of that army. Isn't going to go off just yet. Maybe if MarineLord pulls back right now. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that is pretty scary indeed. The Liberators here already anticipating potential Ling counterattacks. The Hydras could pose a further problem, but Reynor thinking better of it for the time being. Yeah, him not wanting to overcommit into that choke is, I mean, I think a sensible decision, but will allow MarineLord to catch back up. And yeah, I'm completely with you on your assessment as well. I think that it is. I mean, there's very few players, maybe like 2, that can really keep up the pace with Reynor, that won't get completely just outpaced. And MarineLord, for the time being, doesn't seem like he has been able to keep up that pace in these later stages of the game. The Planetary Fortress will unfortunately fall for him, and Hydra's now on retreat. And I love what Reynor has been doing as well in upping the pace, the momentum. Like, a lot of the times, players will go too fast into those lurkers, for example, when you have that momentum that might allow you to get more map control, or just kind of trade a little bit more efficient. Like, if you lean in on your advantages when you have them, that can be another way to capitalize. And Reynor has done so wonderfully so far.
Yes, he has, as we see Ling Bane Hydra back up to the top side. It's a bit more of a concentrated effort. Oh my god, that Widow Mine has just killed so much. So any attack you might have been thinking of there was absolutely dissuaded by the Widow Mine. If not, then by the Liberators that were all joining up together and starting to get into position. As you see, Bio trying to contest in the center just a little bit.
Oh! Okay.
That
was scary.
Yeah, I mean, that could have been real payback for that Widow Mine just previously, but Reynor's like, you know what? I'll save it for later. No, obviously that's unfortunate. Now he's actually got an army here too, so I mean, it's funny because now he actually has to fight this as He runs through liberation zones to get some extra units here as well. I mean, the liberators are abandoned. The Hydras will start to chase them down, and they're going to try and find their way out of trouble.
Yeah, unfortunate in terms of position there from MarineLord, or brilliant from Reynor, whichever way you choose to look at it, that all of the Hydras were coming from behind the Liberators and not from the choke, whereas the choke was still being utilized for Reynor to kind of reinforce that position, but only with Link Bane, which is, you know, it's super overkill for each of those Liberators. So really, really nice dislodgement of that area. If the situation is flipped, where the Liberators are all facing the other situation, the other position, and the bio is facing the Link Bane, I think MarineLord trades a lot better there. But yeah, again, that's to the credit of Reynor.
Absolutely. It's just going to be seeing Reynor remassing into the center of the map. A little bit of bio heading down to the south. A few Liberators are making their way down here as well. Lings are going to counterattack that bottom left base, which I believe is still just remorphing into a planetary from before. At the same time, Reynor is looking to strike the top side, so this is looking good. Only really Liberators left over here. If you get on top of those Liberators, that's obviously fantastic. They're expensive, but the Hydras don't want to go for that run forward, and now we're nuking, and obviously Reynor is taking some damage too. He's going to lose the base immediately to this counterattack of MarineLord.
Yeah, I was very surprised that Reynor actually pulls back, because it was MarineLord. Oh, the Overlords! Oh, that was a close call, Fox. But yeah, like, I mean, it's MarineLord who maybe should have been thinking about pulling back, but he's so far out of position that when he sees the army of Reynor, he says, okay, we gotta trade bases. But Reynor doesn't actually feel confident going into the Liberator zones regardless. Just for, I mean, I say just for, of course, it's gonna tax your army badly, but at least you would get the position, you would kill the sensor tower, you would probably kill that base. Instead, it's MarineLord with a dominating position here on the side of the map.
Yeah, I feel like Reynor really needs some Vipers to... Well, he just lost a full energy one. He's going to lose another. They're just running around crazy. He needs some Vipers to, like, displace some of the Liberators ahead of a fight, as now he loses his Baneling Nest as well. This is doing way too much, as this Hydra Bane's going to run up the ramp in a very messy manner. The Hydras will do what they can. The Banes actually connect pretty well, to be fair, but Reynor loses so much in the process. At the end, the supplies even out a bit, especially when Reynor spends his money. He needs to make sure he realizes, hey, I lost my Baneling Nest, because if you're not having Banelings at the wrong time, that's a game ender.
Yeah, I mean, that's a cleanup, but at the expense of Reynor's economy. If Reynor doesn't find damage very, very soon here, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. 45 workers to 65, and that is discounting the potential that MarineLord has just from having so many orbital commands already situated, with a bunch of energy as well, already getting another base with a planetary fortress as well. So he is rather competitive in terms of real estate when it comes to, you know, like the amount of bases that they can mine and whatnot. So it's looking, once again, I think, in favor of MarineLord, a back and forth game. That's what we love.
Yeah, I love it. As Reynor does need to drone, and that's what he's doing. So getting a few drones up, and now Corruptors as well. I love that he's getting some proper answer to these Liberators. Hydras just don't cut it. They just get zapped down so quickly when these Liberators are, you know, able to get in position. So, yeah, nice to actually get something. Yeah, sorry, can't help but laugh at the mules. Yeah, nice to get something proper going on for Reynor to deal with those libs, because the libs are, I think, causing the biggest problem right now. They're creating fights that Reynor can't take, and that's forcing him to be the one that has to fall back and, you know, turn away from positions. That's not usually the situation that happens.
Yeah, I'll tell you who's not laughing is that Warlord. I mean, he sees everything as well, so this might even make Reynor think about going in here, and a lot of Widow Mines are a little bit slow to the burrow there, but they are still burrowed indeed, and now MarineLord doesn't seem to have too much more here with the Vipers and the Lurkers both. Reynor is going to be able to situate himself well here. However, MarineLord still has the planetary fortress to fall back to, a bunch of Marauders, which are going to be good against Lurkers, but very bad against Hydras and Circlings. So kind of an awkward situation here. But with Ghost coming out, it's going to be better and better for MarineLord.
Such an awkward angle for Reynor to fight into there, right? Like coming in from like the upper right around the ramp. Like, just didn't really feel like that was the way it was meant to go, as this Liberator is denying some mining as well over here. So just trying to slow down Reynor's economy, which has gone back to 77 workers, by the way. And he needs it to be like that, because resources lost is, oh my god, do you remember those Banelings?
Yeah, twice they didn't detonate on like 1 billion Marines.
Yeah, what if they actually detonated that one time? Who knows? Because now they get cleaned up. Yeah, I mean, let's see how this next fight goes, but I'm getting a little bit worried for Reynor. He's already been trading badly throughout the game. MarineLord has hence been able to get up base after base. Seen some good stuff as our bio units on the bottom side, going to clean out a hatchery. as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was cancelled either. So a very good movement here from MarineLord, just making sure that he has the south side of the map covered. And Reynor isn't really threatening the north or anything in response. So he's just kind of taking it for now, which is very uncharacteristic. But I mean, he is behind, so difficult to blame him as well, right? Like he wants to stabilize, maybe he wants to max out, get all the pieces that he feels he needs to take a strong engagement here. A lot of Corruptors now to deal with the Liberators, but like we were saying, Ghosts are gonna start posing a problem too.
Yep, it's definitely, there's a few different things that are going to be at play here over the next little while. As you do see, I love the link counterattack bottom left. That's nice. You got snipes lining up on these Corruptors though, so you're going to have to be extremely careful about it. It's kind of weird because we're starting to head into towards like a real late game that's just had such a battle between the two to get there. That it's kind of interesting because you're entering that late game, but no one's entering the late game like they usually would, and especially Reynor, I feel like, is entering the late game with a pretty bad set of resources lost. Doesn't have them bottom side bases up. I mean, these are all problems which at some point he has to really deal with or do something about, and as time passes by, MarineLord's getting more and more money in the bank, and I feel like it's becoming harder and harder for Reynor to do anything about it, as he needs to deal with these Liberators, because otherwise these Lurkers just can't sit in position. They can't do what they're meant to do. I mean, the Corruptors are trying to find a way to fight it, but then, I mean, there's just so much bio, there's so many Ghosts, and this base is going to be dislodged.
Yeah, the Vipers without energy as well, so this is a huge win here territorially for MarineLord, who keeps pushing back Reynor and his Lurkers. A beautiful defense as well on this base, now adding a Liberator to the mix as well. The Banelings are going to make their way through, so MarineLord's just going to mitigate damage by lifting off his command center for the time being, but okay, he's also pulling back here, so this is a little bit scary. The Ghosts could get picked off, but good EMPs once again onto the Vipers. It's gonna make it further difficult for Reynor to go on the chase. MarineLord with a lot of really good moves here, and army control and army composition, I mean, has been really good as he transitions into this later game. And like you were saying, Wardy, I feel like we're getting to a point where Reynor needs to take a really good engagement to kind of equalize things, whereas if MarineLord takes a similarly good engagement, he'll just end the game.
Absolutely. No, it's the ball is in MarineLord's court, but Reynor all of a sudden is moving MarineLord's army around. He's just going to show up here with these Lurkers, and that planetary fortress I don't think survives this, of course, so he is starting to deny some of the bases of MarineLord that he needs to get rid of. He's establishing this base on the bottom side of his own as well. So that's very important. So he's getting rid of some mining and creating some of his own for the foreseeable, like the short-sighted future of this. That's actually going to do very well. And I love that he's getting rid of so many of these SCVs as well. Those SCV kills are starting to add up, and it suddenly feels like MarineLord's almost maybe going to be the one to struggle to find money in the near future. As 45 workers just trying to haphazard set of bases here, there, and everywhere, all over the place right now.
It's really crazy how the advantages in this game are swapping. In my mind, I'm always trying to think about army advantage and economic advantage and tech advantage. Tech can be mostly disregarded at this point in time. Both players have access to whatever they want for the most part. But I mean, the economic lead and the army lead have both been swapping like crazy, right? Territorially as well, both players kind of having unanswered shots and unanswered punches here and there. I mean, this game is anyone's at this point, and I love it.
Yeah, it really is, and it's been such a chaotic game as well. 25 minutes in, and yeah, I mean, it's becoming harder and harder to pick a favorite. Like a few minutes ago, I would have still said MarineLord has a lot more of the advantages, but Reynor really has done some really cool things recently, and denying that bottom left, I think, is absolutely essential once again. As that was some nice sniping, though.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, talk about nice little victories here and there. We can't finish making a point about who's ahead before the other player takes the lead, it feels like, right? Like, this game is nuts. But yeah, snipes all over the place. That is a hefty number of Lurkers. The Corruptors are, of course, here. The Liberators are the answer to the Lurker. The Corruptors are the answer to the Liberators. The Ghosts are the answer to the Corruptors in turn. So it's a really beautiful dance that we're seeing unfold here. But I mean, all things said and done, the last answer is those Ghosts to the Corruptor. So I feel like if MarineLord manages to kind of control this army as well as he can, he will have the edge, at least until we see some Vipers remade. There's 3 now on the way from Reynor.
Yeah, those Vipers are essential. He absolutely needs to keep those up and running because they are going to be a big part of this. There is a nuke, and that's where that Ghost, I believe, in the top right is heading off to. Get a nuke going. Something that then you have to just pay attention to. Reynor right, find, respond to, reset after. Yeah, it's a cute little position of it.
Yeah, unfortunately has to use a scan for it, so I'm not sure if that gives anything away, because otherwise the position is cute indeed, and it's gonna actually land in spite of the scan, which Reynor would have gotten a notice for. I mean, it's very difficult to anticipate that position regardless, so very well done. 13 workers will go down to further equalize that worker disparity. Now with these going down, MarineLord, for the what feels like the millionth time in this game, will take the economic lead. Reynor now trying to counterattack, not letting this go unanswered, will run into a few ghosts that will most likely get taken down, but for the time being, no detection is keeping them alive. A fungal is available, and 2 of them will get fungled and be taken down here as the Liberators try to siege, but with the Corruptors here also, Reynor will have positional advantage there. So it's all up to what MarineLord can find on the other side of the map. The supply can be a little bit deceitful here, though.
Yeah, Reynor obviously just lost a ton of drones. As Corruptors are finding the Liberators, which is really nice. I mean, you're killing off a load of them. These ghosts underneath are just doing a lot of damage, but now they will die as the Lurkers burrow. And we're just going to clean out this base. MarineLord is going to end up losing a whole bunch of his positioning up on the top side. Reynor has a base bottom left. If he needs some drones going somewhere, he could maybe sneak some over there. MarineLord is basically on 0 mining, so at this stage, he's not rebuilding very much. When you look at like the income, MarineLord actually has 0 mineral income right now. So Reynor is the one that can still build a bit more, while MarineLord for the first time in a while actually isn't. And that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's actually insane. I mean, the army of MarineLord was all situated in the south here, now consolidates, comes back all the way from a very far away expedition to kind of threaten Reynor and his last remaining mining base. So once again, we are back to square zero as far as like who's mining more. If we could show the income graph, it's surely like coming to a stall. Look at that. Look at how much resources the players are mining, right? Like it's like 500 resources per minute each. This is like the game just started, basically.
Yep. I think this, I mean, it's kind of crazy that right now it's like at 12 o'clock of MarineLord versus this bottom left of Reynor might become, super important. It's a fresher base top side from MarineLord. It absolutely is. That's a catch, that is. I mean, there's only been one infestor really walking around this entire time, but obviously getting rid of it's neat. He sees this base landing bottom left as well, but he might be kept busy as nice parasitic bombs, and MarineLord not really respecting those at all. Parasitic bomb flies into the medevacs. He just murdered his own medevacs. MarineLord does not micro at all in that moment. I don't know what that was at all. That was a massive mistake at a critical moment in the game.
Yeah, at the same time, these ghosts are mostly unanswered on the side of Reynor. I mean, that infestor might have seemed like a small deal, but running into that scan was pretty costly because it can actually interrupt multiple snipes at once. It can actually hold the army of MarineLord in place. Instead, MarineLord's going to be able to siege this base of Reynor, use his scans here. What else are you going to do with it? You don't really have real estate to mine, and now he's pushing them forward. This is looking very, very strong from the French. This might just be it. This could be the moments where Reynor decides to tap out after so much effort. I mean, he has nowhere else to go. His army is not strong enough to fight MarineLord's army. At least it doesn't feel like it is. 102 army supply for MarineLord, and Reynor has a lot of, at this point, basically dead supply in Corruptors.
Yeah, I think that's the issue we're going to end up on, right? 17 Corruptors and nothing to do with them. Only 4 Lurkers left. I mean, yes, you can force to spray down bases, but there's only so much use from that. This Lurker goes down. I mean, again, every unit you lose right now feels so difficult to replace, as Reynor is long distancing in the top right, as he's going to get rid of the mining here from MarineLord. This is the majority of MarineLord's remaining SCVs. If he can get rid of them, I mean, obviously there still will be mules. The Lurkers are going to try and fight Ghosts. That's obviously not pretty, and they will go down. And MarineLord will get back to mining, while Reynor just really is not.
Wow.
That's going to be the winning moment. MarineLord wins game number 1 in absolutely stellar fashion.
I mean, that was a stunning game, back and forth from start to finish. At some point, I was inclined to say, okay, I mean, this is the part where Reynor starts shining, because it felt like MarineLord had some edges off of build orders, off of outsmarting, and then come the mid-game, Reynor starts catching up and gets 50 supply ahead at some point, and you have to feel like against Reynor and MarineLord being the underdog, it's going to be very difficult to crawl back yourself back into a winning position. But MarineLord, wow.
I mean, it was just an amazing game, right? MarineLord really did have advantages too that he was like looking to use. He was really, doing everything he could with them as well. He was actually playing like some crazy StarCraft 2, and Reynor played some crazy StarCraft 2 himself. It was just a beautiful, beautiful TVZ. I mean, That's why people love TVZ so much. It's back and forth. It can go every which way. It can twist and turn. I mean, this is just a perfect example of a brilliant matchup.
I mean, that was just one of my favorite TVCs that I have ever watched. Maybe. I mean, I feel like I just ate like a spicy pepper or something. Like I'm salivating at the StarCraft that we're watching right now. It's crazy. I mean, that was just absurd. I mean, MarineLord and Reynor just punching each other in the face nonstop in such an elegant fashion, right? Like it's not them throwing rocks at each other. It's just brilliant positioning and brilliant understanding of the game and where they need to get their advantages, and just wow. It can't be overstated, I think, how good that game was.
Yeah, I know. It was really something. As MarineLord needs a couple of minutes, understandable. Just played a ridiculous 30-minute TVZ. If you just tuned in, MarineLord leads 1-0 over Reynor. That's actually kind of exciting. I mean, playing a game like that as well, right? This is the sort of thing that says, hey, I can go toe-to-toe with you. Do you worry at all, though, Cats, that this game did start off a little bit kind of, very MarineLord favored, and Reynor was the one for a long time to kind of, draw it out and to really elongate it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, right? And when he grabs that advantage, I thought he was going to hold on to it, but come late game, MarineLord really putting on a masterclass in terms of unit composition and positioning. So, my God, I mean, if that's anything to go by, the rest of the series should be incredible, Wordy. We are now ready to go into the next map. It's going to be Oxide. This is a little bit more of a Terran map than the last. So that could be exciting too, though we didn't really see MarineLord abuse tanks or use much tanks, which I think is the main feature that this map does offer Terrans positionally. So I'm curious if he's going to do that. Liberators are also pretty good, though.
Yeah, well, Liberators are pretty good too. It'll be really fun. Let's see what happens on Oxide. As only 6 bases each, it gets weird if you take it to the late game on this map for sure as well. So that's something else to maybe be considering here. That's in the top right-hand side. Our French Terran leading 1-0. This is MarineLord.
And in the bottom left-hand side, it is the Italian champion. It is Reynor. Italy's esports player of the year recently.
That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
It's a stat I would take. I'd be happy with that.
Hells yeah. All right. Let's compose ourselves, Wardy. I mean, let's not, like, we can't have expectations, surely, for the rest of the match to be that good, right? Like, it's, but man, I'm shivering a little bit. Like, after that game, that game 1 performance from MarineLord, we do keep underestimating him, right? Like, we do keep thinking he's not good enough, and time again, at least for the last couple seasons, he's looked amazing.
That's true, but I feel like there's still that kind of level of, like, would you say anyone would play like that against, like, a Reynor or Cyril?
Yeah,
or, like, I know, MarineLord did against Clem last season, but Clem's TVT is a more questionable matchup as well, right? Whereas Reynor and, Cyril, for example, have always been amazing ZVT players because they have to try and beat Clem. So, yeah, no, it's like I don't want to say, like, I get it. Yeah, we kind of are, but, like, I don't think it's, like, unrealistic.
No, absolutely. I mean, as far as results are concerned, right, we have to put those 3 at the top. We have to put Big Gabe after them. We have to think that Showtime is there, that Lambo is in the conversation, and maybe in that conversation with Lambo with a laser, you throw in the name of MarineLord, right? But consistently, he has gotten very good results off of the group stages, and now for the 2nd season in a row, a strong performance to open the playoffs as well. So, yeah, I think we see him make a deep run here, a top 4 here in the season. Next season, all of a sudden, maybe we have to start talking about MarineLord and Big Gabe or something like that, right?
Yeah,
or is it too soon? Too soon? I'm not sure.
Maybe MarineLord just has to step up in the other tournaments as well, right? Yeah. This is where he really excels in preparation, I think. And I mean, you can see that with the build in the last game. But there's also so much in that last game that wasn't just preparation. There's so much of that. You can't just prepare to play a game like that, right? A lot of that was just straight up skill. But a lot of the time, he doesn't show that in a lot of the online cups and, just tournaments outside of DreamHack. And it doesn't feel like that's consistently a thing. Yeah. Maybe I think that's the big difference, right? Maybe the consistency of seeing it. And yeah, if you show up and do it every DreamHack, then fair enough. We maybe are underestimating him. But it's like, if you're only doing it in DreamHacks, why aren't you doing it the rest of the time as well? That's I guess the big question.
Yeah, and I mean, to that point, I think that when you play wacky styles, that can breed inconsistency as well, right? Like, it's the type of style that you can kind of surprise anyone, but potentially lose to other players, right? That maybe aren't in that same weight class, and that's kind of the story of last season. Not to say that MaxPax isn't one of the best players in Europe, but we certainly wouldn't think that he is on the level of Clem just yet. And so MarineLord, you know, toppling Clem to then get destroyed by MaxPax is one of those stories that speaks to that inconsistency, perhaps.
Absolutely. As Link Speed going to be finishing, Overlord Speed coming through, and our Starport's just going to lift off and get ready to plunk itself down onto this tech lab. It's obviously 3cc early, and from this early 3cc, we are going to get to see a little bit of most likely Banshee play. So away we go.
Yeah, Reynor with the scouting play as well, kind of like the defensive, more expensive type of play where you kind of are willing to set yourself behind in favor of knowing what your opponent is doing. MarineLord with good first 2 Marines to kind of deny this Overlord, but there's another one heading into his main that is gonna go unanswered. So the Banshee and the Cloak will get spotted. There's a possibility that MarineLord just cancels the Cloak as well. But all in all, I mean, Reynor kind of sticking true to what he said, right? Like, you play wacky styles, maybe you're not as confident, etc., etc. Last time around, it worked out well for MarineLord in the early game. This time around, Reynor kind of deciding, I'm going to take a little bit of a disadvantage, but I'm going to make sure that I know what's coming.
Yep. It's one of those things that, you know, Cyril did a lot as well, right? Where it's like, hey, if I just know what you're doing, I'm going to be in a perfectly fine position. Like, I'm going to be okay. So, yeah, that's typically the way that kind of plays out a lot of the time. And yeah, I don't blame Reynor at all for kind of going into it this time as well.
Yeah, MarineLord looking for an opening here. A lot of Lynx will actually get to surround onto this Helios and the drones. Beautiful maneuver there from Reynor to try to make sure that those Helios don't move, but still they wiggle their way through. 6 workers have fallen, a handful of Lynx as well. Of course, MarineLord will forego that creep control that he also didn't go for in the previous match, but decent all in all, right? Not too bad.
Yeah, 6 drones is nice, and that's just going to be a decent start. I mean, it is a lot of your Hellions, it is a lot of your map control, but you got a few left over still. I don't hate it. Maybe a couple more would have been even better, but I think you're kind of absolutely on the border of saying, like, yeah, I'm happy with this.
Yeah, it's kind of very borderline in that sense. I mean, both players losing about the same amount of resources. I'm not sure about this follow-up poke here, especially from the Hellions. I mean, the Hellions are going to be cleaned up very easily here by the Zerglings. The Banshees should be poking, but the Hellions really have no business to do that unless he really thinks that Reynor made no more links after the fact. And yeah, I mean, MarineLord now not such a good trade to follow through.
Nope, that was a little bit messy and not as... definitely not as pretty. It's just going to be seeing a couple of Banshees hanging out overhead on that third base for the moment as well. You do actually get a drop Lord. I like that, though. I mean, that's a cute little play to try and harass the main a bit. And it takes advantage of your Overlord speed. Yeah, I love that.
Exactly. Yeah, I love it when players are kind of consistent with the advantages that they've already taken or with, you know, their already existing investments. However, MarineLord is on the lookout with these 2 Marines. For the time being, now they're actually retreating out of the main base. So yeah, this Ling attack from the Overlord still stands a chance to at least pull back the army of MarineLord, at least evacuate that main base, at least potentially kill a couple of SCVs. And it could also always be devastating if it is timed properly, right? Like if there's more stuff going on the map and stuff like that, or if MarineLord has his entire army just outside, it could get really nasty.
Absolutely, as we got ourselves a couple of Banshees going to work their way down the left, and they're going to get toward the main. Spellcrawler shows up to turn them around, but they got the Lings there to turn this group of Marines and Medivacs around as well. And Reynor's defense has been pretty pristine for the last little while here. He's not really letting too much happen. And yeah, he's just getting himself that unload into the main base of his opponent as well, just as he walks in over here. Now, MarineLord lifts up and deals with that well, but now there's Lings in his mineral line.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about. I mean, Reynor, being the champion that he is, he will actually take advantage of other stuff going on the map to kind of like make himself play the attention game or make his opponent play his attention game, and even burrowing 2 Zerglings, that's so annoying. I mean, a scan is worth more than those 2 Zerglings, and there's 2 other Zerglings completely on the other side, so one scan couldn't ever catch both of those.
Yeah, really nice stuff so far. It's just going to be seeing MarineLord bringing these Marines around Lings, Banes, looking to roll on forward, and they're going to try and jump on top of this, but I'm not going to do anything too wild. It's just going to be seeing our army of Reynor escaping away down the bottom side. Again, 2-2 upgrades on the way from MarineLord already. He definitely has some potential, right, with some of these fights. As he starts pushing down the south, he's got that drilling claw starting too, so he's going to be on a good Widowmine transition soon as well. It's going to be seeing all these Banes finishing from Reynor, but MarineLord has a serious, like, bit of a timing here. Like, good army supply lead. And he does lose 7 SCVs across the map, so a little bit of damage being done. And, well, let's see what he can do with the big fight, because right now, Reynor, he's actually going to take some tank shots, trying to go in for the counterattack, and he nearly ran back through the tanks as well.
Oh, yeah, and the Banelings are sectioned off too, so some of these links will get taxed on the retreat too. And yeah, I love this, right? Like, we were talking about tanks on this map, so MarineLord very much playing the tank and not just, or the map and not just the matchup. And unfortunately for Reynor, he hasn't actually taken care of those rocks. He didn't take them down early enough, and that is terrain that really favors the tanks, because any units from that low ground will get taxed on the way up. So if MarineLord can continue to gain ground, and he has done a very good job to make the creep recede here, he will be in a very scary position.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The one thing I will say, there's a lot of units back at home defending the counterattacks, and that maybe leaves a chance, right, for Reynor to perhaps deal with that army on the bottom right at some point. I would imagine that would happen.
I don't want to see. Oh, that's gotta be nasty, right? Yeah, those had to be some nasty Baneling connections, because there's not enough medevacs to kind of lift up all of that army. So unfortunate there, but MarineLord is gonna push on the gas pedal on the other side of the map, knowing where the army of Reynor is. There's still a lot of Banelings left over, but not too many more links to swarm, and the tanks are gonna kind of thrive against those Banelings. Banelings do not want to detonate onto the tanks. The Banshees have still been kept alive the entire game, which, you know, big props to MarineLord. With very few queens, these Banshees are gonna rack up kills over time. So still a strong position for MarineLord, but Reynor also looking for a very big flank, might just be able to push on through.
Yeah, I feel like that attack on the left side really took the wind out of MarineLord's sails a little bit, and man, this attack on the bottom right still there, still hasn't been cleaned up. Now he needs to deal with this counterattack though. He has got some Marines running back to deal with it, and honestly, not so bad. Obviously, you're always going to lose some SCVs here. That's the price you pay. Love a couple burrowed Banelings in the mineral line as well. If they aren't seen and you just get like a whole bunch of workers, well, that would be amazing.
Yeah, there is a, you know, I mean, all of the workers will get clicked onto one mineral patch when the transfer happens. So if it is that mineral patch and it's unspotted, it could be a huge blow up. So it's all up to MarineLord and where he clicks, and where also whether Reynor is paying attention at that point in time. Instead, they will still find a lot of SCVs in transfer, actually. And now MarineLord, I mean, he is going to have his work cut out for him. There is a lot of Reynor here to answer. He is just biding his time, trying to make the bio overextend perhaps. A nice deep tank and Widowmine line. So, I don't know.
Yeah, this is really, actually, I really thought that he would have a bit more confidence there just to maybe fight it. Reynor, that is, but he really just said, I'm going to give up this base. And he's not in a pretty position to do that. He's only on 4 bases total. That's why so many of his counterattacks right now are so important. He needs a lot of these counterattacks to be doing well. Otherwise, his economy just isn't really comparable to MarineLord's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was very surprised. It seemed like Reynor had enough, but hey, he's gonna bide his time and he's gonna wait until the tanks are on siege, and so he will get a comfortable cleanup at least. So he does get the punish on the retreat here from MarineLord, much needed. And with that, I feel like Reynor's still in a pretty decent position. This burrow has been working out wonders for him all over the place. Once again, he will use the burrow, forcing MarineLord to scan instead of drop views. At the same time, he takes a fight on the other side of the map, but those Widow Mines will connect nicely onto the Hydras.
Yeah, really nice. With the massive counter, though. 23 workers and a base going down. That does cost you a few Banes. If MarineLord can collect together and just get one big push going for himself, but that's the problem. Reynor's making this game crazy enough that that's not too likely to happen. That previous fight as well, Reynor just had the Overseers, you know, diving through, and they ate the Widowmine shots, and that was an amazing part of it, because if those Widowmine shots had gone on with anything else, Reynor was pretty stacked up. So that was another critical part. Those Overseers are always doing such a good job sacrificing themselves for the good of the overall Zerg fight. MarineLord still has a 20 army supply lead. He's finally going to find a chance, by the way, to start +3 attack upgrade, which, you know, considering he's been on 2-2 a long time, it just goes to show how crazy this game has been, that even affording your upgrades, which are oh so important, has just not really been on the mind of the players.
Yeah, what's a little bit scary for MarineLord is there's no more tank anchors here to deal with the Hydras or even to aid against those Banelings. So it's all on the Widowmines to find the connections on the links and Banes of Reynor as they potentially overextend. And the army of MarineLord kites back. So on the other side, MarineLord doing a good job to stay safe. Good Baneling mine there. Or good connection onto the Banelings there from the mine. So, yeah, I don't know. Who do you like better right now, Wordy?
I think I like MarineLord better. It's full base against full base, right? Because MarineLord gets the right side up. And I think that's the real game changer. It's just, okay, it's a fresher base of Reynor on the left side as well. But as long as MarineLord stops Reynor taking the 6 o'clock, which right now seems pretty apparent that's going to happen, then, I mean, what do you do as Reynor? Because, I mean, your next step is to basically take the top left base. But that's not feasible. So, yeah, if MarineLord can hold the current position, then I'm very much so liking it for him. He's still having some trouble dealing damage elsewhere on the map, but again, I guess another question is how well does that bottom side army hold? Because at some point, if Reynor collapses on that with everything, does it not just fall apart very quickly? Well, so far in this game, that's not really been happening. Is those Lings really aren't meant to dive in there, but all those Widow Mines get caught.
Yeah, my concern for MarineLord right now is kind of the tech choices. Like, he has like 2 Marauders and everything else is like Widow Mines and Marines, at least out on the map. He is now producing Liberators, but he doesn't have the luxury of the range that he had last game. And now Reynor getting 2 Lurkers. I mean, how do you even trade effectively against Lurkers with just Marines and Widow Mines, right? So MarineLord has to look for that transition. Now we have Ghosts in production, so that'll be nice. But none of that is at the front. So I'm looking for Reynor to stabilize here, at least with those Lurkers.
You know, Reynor might be the only Zerg in the world where he's consistently down 20 and 30 army supply, and I still don't want to say the Terran is outright, you know, in a favorite position, right? It's insane. And it's happened so much in this series, and I really do find myself being like, well, I'm not really too sure. You're going to see another Widow Mine lining up on an Overseer this time. Just going to be seeing the Marines lifting the Medivacs. They do get sniped down. This is this kind of bottom right position being dislodged like we were talking about, and Koski quite a bit, and that's so important because now Reynor can take the 6 o'clock base back. As he's really chasing this. I mean, he's okay to do so in some sense, but you've got to remember that there are Ghosts and Libs coming up. If they get into the fight on the Lurkers, Reynor's going to regret pushing like that.
Yeah, Reynor adding his own tech, I guess, in terms of Vipers now making it out on the map. So he is going to have an option there to do that. He's also dropping down a Nidus as we speak. So that could be pretty scary for him. The Liberators now sieged on top of Lurkers, so that's pretty annoying for Reynor, who is sieging himself onto that planetary fortress. So sieges on top of sieges on opposite sides of the map for both players, but with the Ghosts, it's Reynor who will have to get pushed back for the time being. On the other side, the army of MarineLord is pretty measly, so it will surely get dislodged as soon as Reynor appears here.
Yeah, I mean, a couple of Libs will do a bit of something, right? But not a lot. And yeah, I kind of want to save Libs if you can. They're expensive. MarineLord's still up like 25, 30 supply. It just feels like it's just never enough to actually close a game out or to make a serious push. He will deny the bottom side again, maybe. Reynor can't run in here in time to save it. So again, keeping Reynor on 4 bases, that's massive.
Yeah, but a Nidus of Lurkers into the main unspotted. He's about to yell it. Meow. And there it goes, Wordy, and it's empty. That's good.
Now there's 2 Lurkers inside and they just popped up. You know, you hyped it up so much.
I mean, we saw the Laser versus Clem game yesterday. Oh my god, this is huge actually, with the army of MarineLord getting cleaned up here, mostly by the Lurkers. And now all of a sudden, we were talking about it. I mean, your 30-40 supply against Reynor, sometimes it doesn't matter. And it seems like he has reclaimed some of his advantages. Still, economically not in a fantastic position, but if he can threaten this base, it'll be great for him.
Do you think that's the concern of the Nidus network or from MarineLord, kind of causing him to be distracted and then boom, Reynor jumps on that army? Because that's, again, what Reynor is so good at, right? Like, we talked about it already, how he's just good at abusing when you're paying attention to other things.
Yeah.
And yeah, that Nidus, it took his attention, and it seems as though it created that larger fight. And I'm busy, you know, laughing at you, screaming about the empty Nidus. And Reynor's busy clearing up the army and evening out this game.
Yeah, but at the same time, I feel like if you're Reynor, you should have put a little bit more priority on that Nidus as soon as you anticipate that it might go up. Because I think if the Lurkers unload, that could be as good as lights out for MarineLord and his production. We saw it yesterday in the game of Elaser against Clem as well. So those Nidus can be really, really dangerous and turn games around. But regardless, Reynor is turning this around with that cleanup onto the army and now threatening the economy of MarineLord. No longer advantages to be found on the side of the French in those terms. But yeah, is there a silver lining here? I guess his army is still pretty scary.
I'm kind of surprised the Liberator's turned around there because I felt it was enough to actually just siege a bit further forward, push the Lurkers back again, but I guess he doesn't want to try and press the fights. 38 SCVs, 52 drones. Again, Reynor just about getting that bottom side base up. Lurkers here. Oh, they're on hold position. They're going to destroy things. Oh my goodness, it's going to be sickening. As MarineLord walks right into it, he scans and he actually kills a few of them very quickly, but he's just so out of position. And Reynor, you know, Cass, this is what I mean. Like, literally, Reynor's like, he's losing this game all the way throughout. And you ask me, you know, Woody, who do you like here? And it's like, obviously, I should say MarineLord, but I just don't want to, right? Like, why would we want to? Like, right. It makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean, that was really good for from Reynor to claw his way back into the game. I thought that when he got to the Lurkers, there was definitely a turning point where MarineLord had to evacuate from the Reynor side on the map. But even then, I mean, he managed to transition well into Ghost Liberator. It was that Nidus maybe causing the distraction for Reynor to pounce onto the army of MarineLord that ends up sealing the deal, seemingly. So, yeah, I mean, 1-1. Another great game in this series.
All right, I think apparently we're going to go to a break, a little bit off schedule. So we're going to do that and be right back.
We are back once again. The score is tied 1-1 after an amazing first 2 games. We are headed to 2,000 atmospheres. My name is Katz, joined by Wardy, and we are watching France versus Italy in MarineLord versus Reynor.
And it's been freaking incredible. I mean, these games have been wild. Reynor kind of did in map 2 what I was expecting for a long time for him to do in map number 1, right? Where he just gets a couple of the fights he needs in the end, you know. Even when he's down in supply, he keeps scrapping, he keeps fighting, and eventually he just finds the couple fights that, boom, he turns the game around on. Never happened in game 1, but in game 2 it really did happen. I actually feel like he was more dead in game number 2 for a little bit longer even. And again, that's just kind of the weird ways in which he works in this matchup because he's just so good at it sometimes. As we have his opponent here probably question what the heck happened in that second map. He was in such a good spot, but it all fell apart. It's MarineLord in the top right.
And in the bottom left-hand side, it is the Italian stallion, even in the series up 1-1, Reynor. I think you pointed out what happened, Wardy. I think what it boils down to for me, the turning point was that army that was just as big as the first army, crossing through the middle of the map, through all of the creep, right? Like just really overcomplicating things for MarineLord. On the other side, you have 3 tanks, you have like 5 Widow Mines already situated, and you don't have very much bio. So why not just bring your half of the bio army through the safe zone without creep to reinforce that very stronghold that you already have on that side, and instead you go through the middle of the map. I mean, like, you know, like I think that's when he lost the game, and he overextends on creep, just gets surrounded. Not enough medevacs even to pick up the bio. I think an uncharacteristic mistake, the worst mistake that we've seen in both games combined, perhaps.
I do feel like as well, he was so... And don't get me wrong, I love that he was denying that 5th base on the bottom side, right? Not letting the 6 o'clock get up. It makes perfect sense. But there's also a point where you're like 30, 40 arms in supply ahead, and you're just content to sit back. And that just gives Reynor the chance to play his game, right? And it just feels as though at some points, maybe that's... You do kind of give it that position on the bottom side a bit easier. And yeah, Reynor might start taking that base, but you know what you've got? You've got a 42 army supply lead, hitting the left side base instead. And then Reynor actually has to fight when he doesn't want to fight. And I feel like that's how you force some of the final fights in this game, or in that last game, that he was never able to find. Like, he got ahead multiple times, but he never got into a position where he was looking to kind of, you know, really get a final fight on the way.
Yeah, he could have definitely abandoned that position, just consolidated his army elsewhere and gone to the other side, or even just bring the army there and kind of siege in between what that base would be and the exit from the main and natural. Right, and then if you hold that position, it's really annoying. You can threaten natural, you can threaten the third, and that's another way to do it. But yeah, he kind of just didn't do anything for a little while, like you were saying. So he led Reynor back into the game. You don't want to do that, and will get punished for it. None of these links have fallen so far. Very good job from Reynor, dancing mostly on the edge of creep here and buying enough time for his queen. Will lose 0 certainty in the process.
Yep, nicely done. Nice bit of micro to start us off here for game number 3. It's triple CC again, right? Nice quick expansions. MarineLord just looking to go straight into economy. It's, you gotta wonder, what do you think Reynor's going to start doing differently? Because so far he just keeps getting himself behind, right? Like, he keeps falling behind. MarineLord gets some good attacks off. What do you think Reynor needs to change himself to actually just have a better start in the game?
Yeah, I'm not sure, because he's also playing kind of safe. It feels like to me, like a lot of the time it feels like he is playing a little bit conservatively, knowing that MarineLord is known to throw an oddball as we speak. He throws a very big oddball here with a proxy starboard, potentially for something like Liberators, if not a Hellion elevator into the main. So yeah, I can't blame Reynor too much for kind of being a little bit passive in the early game, or a little bit of an information gatherer at the expense of his economy and the likes. And if he is that good, I mean, in the mid game, both games, he has managed to stabilize. So I don't know, does he need to take any risks? Because risks, or just like maybe giving your opponent a little bit less or a little bit more respect in a sense, right? Like where you're actually playing with an equal and you're kind of like trying to get away with cutting corners yourself and stuff like that. I think that's what the answer would be for Reynor to really come out ahead in one of these early games. But does he need to do that? I'm not sure.
No, I don't think he needs to. Like you say, he can bring games back anyway. It's just, it's obviously, it would just be much nicer if you can just play a game where it's like, okay, cool, I'm not behind right now. Because that gets me worried. I know this is maybe thinking ahead a bit, but imagine further down the line, we've got, you know, a Clem game versus Reynor, right? You know, Reynor can't be playing from behind like that against Clem. Like, sometimes they'll work, but not always. Here comes the drop. Hellions into the main, and we do have just one drone. Good Evo Chimp blocked to buy you a whole bunch of extra time. And geez, is it needed? Because there's just nothing around. We finally get to the natural, and we get a few more workers. Wow, that Evo Chamber block saved everything as we drop to the third base. There's going to be even more damage still. The drone's lining up a bit at the end. 7. Queen's blocking them. 10. And the Hellions didn't even die yet, which is the best part of all here.
Yeah, especially if the medevac gets away, and it looks like it will. So very, very good opening from MarineLord once again. Reynor did have an Overlord in position to spot the medevac, but a little bit too late. Hellions are obviously very, very fast, and the Queen's not able to relocate to the main. So Reynor, damage control was pretty good, to be honest. I think most players would lose a lot more than he did, but that many workers this early without any of the Hellions dying and the medevac getting away, wonderful once again for the French.
Yep. Red start there is just going to be seeing some SCVs repairing up those Hellions too. We're going to get the third base down in position. 1-1 upgrades will take the lead from MarineLord as Reynor opts for obviously a layer faster and, you know, setting up in towards that. So not really too surprising. Just kind of all of what we've already been seeing. And yeah, we'll see where this game goes, as MarineLord will be off with a little bit of a marine drop now to try and deal some damage. I like it. I really feel like his aggression keeps doing well early. He keeps putting him in good spots. It's very exciting to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, nice snipe onto the creep tumor by shooting the rocks as well there. We'll get another scan and continue to make the creep recede here. So very, very well done for MarineLord. And yeah, I mean, to what we were saying as well, it's not like Reynor was playing overly safe or anything like that this game, right? And gets punished for it, actually. So he doesn't open pull first like he did in the first game. He doesn't open Overlord speed like he did in the second game. This time just cuts a corner, goes for his head first, etc., etc. And MarineLord finds a way to kind of punish him for not gathering that information, for not playing overly safe. So yeah, I'm not sure that there's a real answer. Maybe it's just MarineLord is, you know, a really, really good player, especially in the early game.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's been playing some great early games so far. Spire on the way up is obviously going to mean we get a real change up, and I like that we change up a little bit in that regard. Maybe mutas are the thing where, you know, Reynor can, you know, really do what he's been doing already, but then it's just going to be that much better, right? Because, well,
yeah,
you know, mutas can do that. You know, that's just how mutas play. So maybe that will be the deal breaker that kind of really puts MarineLord into a little bit of a tougher spot. As you see, these Marines gonna lift back up. I tell you what, though, we still haven't started upgrades. Those 1-1 upgrades not starting yet from Reynor. The longer that doesn't start for, the more of an issue it's going to be in some of the bigger fights down the line. As these Marines end up just trading out, but we've got a massive push arriving, and this is at a really good time where mutas are on the way. There's 7 Banes, the rest now morphing. There's a 1-1 versus 0-0 lead, and that tank's going to get set up behind the rocks, and here are the medevacs as well. The Hellbats splitting to soak the Banes. Oh, I love it so far from MarineLord. Reynor's supply blocked as well now.
Wow. Yeah, it's looking wonderful for MarineLord. And I mean, like you were saying, the mutas are kind of a good change of pace, because if you get the cleanup, you can kind of snowball, you can kind of get control of your side of the map. You can cross the map very, very fast with all of your units. Mutaling Bane obviously has kind of the same type of pacing to itself. MarineLord actually catching this muta is really, really nice for him as well. They are looking to cut reinforcements. If not, they will surely try to find an opening into the third base. But no, there's, I mean, already a turret there, and things are still continuing to look very good for MarineLord. Reynor choosing to evacuate this base. That's not what he was planning on doing, I assure you. At this stage in the game, will now look to flood. The mutas are still on the other side of the map. So, wow, this is looking incredibly good.
Why did Reynor attack back in and then pull away again? That's just free damage from MarineLord. Especially when it's 1-1 against 0-0. Like, the guy's got an upgrade lead and you're letting him get extra shots off on your units? Like, no, come on, it's got to be better than that. Yeah, the mutas are doing okay, right? But are they really going to be doing game-ending damage? Not really just yet. There's turrets in place as well, especially. There's Ling Bane just trailing forward, and again, it goes too far forward before turning back around. It feels like Reynor was really scrambled at the moment, just can't quite get things going straight for himself.
Yeah, the hesitation's really costing him, right? And he already forfeited that side of the map anyway. Like, he already forfeited the base. So, I mean, I see as it's happening that Reynor is thinking, you're not paying attention. I'm gonna get a big Baneling connection, right? And then MarineLord starts paying attention, or maybe he was paying attention all along and baits Reynor into thinking that he's not. And the Marines kind of like split timely, and Reynor just loses units in the process, like continues to bleed out. So, I mean, it's to the credit of MarineLord as well, right? And it is a risk that Reynor is taking. And in some games, he would be finding those crazy connections, and we'd be like, okay, that was kind of cool. But as it stands, I mean, he's going to come with a massive flank, but MarineLord once again preset well and off of creep. So again, another risk that Reynor maybe, I mean, I don't want to say that he doesn't need to take him at this point either, right? Like, he is behind.
Yeah, that was actually a really well-handled fight from MarineLord considering the start, but he's left his 2 tanks behind. He does send some Marines after it. He smells blood in the water. He realizes the Banelings are morphing, so he goes for a bunch of them. He gets a lot. Hellbats are tanking some of these Banelings as well. And I think there's just too many Marines here. I don't think Reynor recovers from this at all as MarineLord comes barreling on through. I mean, Marines are just going to get rid of everything, and Reynor really cannot get a good start in any of these games.
Yeah, but what a beautiful maneuver that was from MarineLord time and time again. I mean, the third siege was good. Like you were saying, the timings were kind of in his favor, right? Like the Hellions obviously at the start were great. Then the follow-up was great. Hits while Reynor is getting those mutas, so that kind of puts Reynor in a difficult position. Then Reynor continues to bleed out units. But then on that last attack, I thought that was incredibly brilliant. I mean, very few times that it is commendable to split your army, especially when you don't have that much. To kind of chase the muta and continue on the offense, right? And this time around, I mean, it works out perfectly for MarineLord. The muta surely were looking to buy time for those banelings, but like you said, he smelled blood in the water, and it was beautiful, brilliant.
He's playing freaking well, man. Like, he's just hitting Reynor good times. Obviously, he gets off to a good little start. Those Hellions do well on the drop. But he is just playing really well on the follow-ups. I mean, it's actually, like, he's actually just playing insane. You know, earlier this season, the Muslim, I believe, said something along the lines of, you know, the best players in France, and he forgot about Clem. Well, maybe because he was thinking of MarineLord, because at this point, MarineLord is playing like a freaking god. I mean, he's just playing well, he's playing smart, he's attacking in the right ways. And I love this time because it's a very different map to Oxide. He doesn't just park himself in the bottom and say, I'm cool to dying down here. No, he moves off, goes and gets other units, and then he attacks in a different direction towards the newer base of Reynor. And I really understand why he did what he did on Oxide, but that's kind of what I said I would like him to have done on Oxide instead. This time he actually did it. It works out. Obviously different map as well, yes, but you know, you can see how effective it was. Once you've got that army supply lead, you force fights, it's good for you.
Yeah, I mean, certainly he had already overtaken Clem in the Muslims list, but now I mean, gunning for Denver and Petit Drogo, if he can close this one out, right? Like it's looking really great for him. Blackburn is going to be the next map. This is another map that, you know, like Circs have started liking a little bit more and more in the matchup. At the start, we thought maybe it's more Terran favor than not. It is a map where mech is possible. You were talking about those offbeat strategies. MarineLord is certainly capable of playing stuff like mech or like only air Terran type strategies we've seen in the past from him. And it is a weird enough map that I feel like it favors him by default just from that aspect, right? Like he's gonna bring something prepared for the map.
Absolutely. Is Reynor readied up and then said, actually, 1 second, please. So we've got a moment or two longer before we dive on into Blackburn. It's really been a very exciting final series of the day. Of course, we've got no North America today. North America bracket starts tomorrow. It's a little smaller, so it takes one less day to run. So North America will be up and running tomorrow. That's very exciting. I mean, we've got a hell of a week if this is just day one, cats.
Yeah, it's gonna be incredible. But yeah, I mean, this day one has really delivered, especially the last 2 series, I feel like, right? And potentially, if they give us an upset here as well, that would be something to talk about. As yeah, it would be a wonderful way to end the day. And then we would have Showtime versus MarineLord. Who would have thought?
And that would be 4th spot in the season finals. ZG kind of mentioned that in the Showtime interview, because winning that puts you in the winner bracket finals. That's guaranteed top 3 in the tournament, so top 4 season finals. So yeah, it's actually kind of like, you know, that would be really crazy. Oh, fun stuff. We're ready to go. We're going to dive on into this series. This TVZ's been stellar so far. Let's hope for at least one more map, which is absolutely excellent. That's in the bottom left. The hot thing in this series so far has absolutely got to be MarineLord, our Red Terran.
And I can already hear it. If we get him in the interview, he's going to be saying, you know, I usually drop 1 or 2 maps, make it interesting, etc. But right now, I assure you he's sweating. It is the Italian stallion, Reynor.
And you know what happens as well, I think? is that imagine Reynor. If Reynor loses here, it's very similar to what happened last season when Clem lost to MarineLord, right? And then because of that, I think what ends up happening is that one of Cyril and Clem will have to play probably against Reynor in the lower bracket for the season finals. I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened last time. And I think this is kind of like laid out in the same way. So, yeah, kind of a big deal as we start discussing season final stuff, but just where the players drop in the bracket, yeah, that's the talking point for another day, I'm sure, but really kind of puts the emphasis on the importance of this match.
Yeah, because if MarineLord actually takes it, one of the big three is very likely to miss out on the season finals, right? Like very, very much so, if not assured.
I'm gonna go double check because I think it's almost guaranteed. Yeah,
I think it might be almost guaranteed or guaranteed for that matter. So that is very, very added excitement here. Very exciting indeed as this match will continue to unfold. A Reaper is being made on the side of MarineLord. And let me know when you have checked.
It's even crazier because Hero Marine's on this side of the bracket as well.
Wow.
So it would be say Reynor loses, Reynor/Hero Marine might meet the next round along, and the winner of that would probably have to play against Clem or Cyril, whoever loses that series. So then you're talking about like the big four, 2 of them are going to eliminate each other. So this series is actually now really kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the big four are all in trouble right now as we speak. None of them are feeling too confident, that's for sure. And another interesting story unfolding, if MarineLord should close this out, Showtime actually said of these two, he almost hinted at him preferring to play Reynor over MarineLord, right? Which is kind of crazy
in a way,
in its own right, yeah.
Oh, today's just Wildcats. I can't take any more of this. I don't understand StarCraft anymore.
Yeah, there's gonna be an eBay block here on the side of MarineLord.
I love it.
That's interesting. I've actually thought about this a little bit. I'm not sure why you would ever make an eBay instead of a bunker. Like the bunker is a little bit cheaper and can be kind of like you get the same amount of money back, but the bunker has the extra armor when it's completed, right? So yeah, I'm not sure which one's more profitable. I used to think for sure the bunker, but not sure.
Maybe it's not just even with the armor difference. It's like the HP of the engineering base is that much more. It's got
maybe
like 850. Yeah. That's kind of crazy.
Maybe so. You also get the benefit of the instant cancel versus the salvage, which takes a little bit longer. So yeah, I'm not sure. I'm sure someone could do the math on that. I'm not sure what's actually better, but cute moves regardless from MarineLord. It's a marginal difference in any case. And the link speed's now going to be done for Reynor. Another medevac potentially to make something happen here on the side of MarineLord.
Yes, Marine's going to get rid of this Ovi, which is only going to see that more Marines are being produced. So that's kind of funky, right?
Yeah. Yeah, will that be enough information? I think this is like that 8 Marine drop, right, with the Hellions to back it up. So the Marines are intended to deal with the Queens. And then if the Lynx come forward, then you have Hellions kind of sitting behind them, right? If you do a timing like this, just got to be careful not to really tank with your Hellions and leverage their firepower against those Zerglings. So let's see if MarineLord is able to do that, as he's already going to take a little bit of damage, but almost negligible, actually. Just a couple of shots and kills 2 creep tumors for his trouble. So very nice.
Yeah, doing a good job of this. Marines unloading in this main as well. So going to put some pressure on over here. I just love the multi-prong. And you can see the Queen and these 2 Lings are running. He's going to find a couple of drones. Now he's just going to lift, get out. I mean, this is where just, being around and just putting pressure on really benefits you. Just getting into positions like that and making the most of it. Yeah, it's just great stuff. And it's very cheap to do because you lose anything in the process. Now on the way to Stanley, extra barracks. You know what? I'm excited about MarineLord right now. Like, it is crazy how much he's doing.
Yeah, it's really amazing. I love how you're touching on how cheap it is to do this, because it opens up for other things like the follow-up with the Liberator, but also the very, very fast third as well, right? So MarineLord is well set up. Any damage is kind of good damage here. 2 drones was fantastic. I would have liked him to kind of group up a little bit more with those Hellions and try to see if that poke is effective, but the Liberator here is gonna start being annoying already. We see the Spore of Reynor was not positioned for a Liberator, but rather anticipating that it could be Banshees. And that's just Reynor in a position that he doesn't want to be, which is guessing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. As a couple of Hellions and Reaper just going to get a Creep Teamer as well. And, you know, those upgrades are already starting once again from MarineLord. Something that really was apparent last game was like so many of the fights happened with the 1-1 versus 0-0. And I get it, you want to get that bailing speed up as well, and that's fine. But you got to make sure that when your Evo Chambers are done, you do start 1-1. Because he actually prioritized the mutas over 1-1 as well. I think that was actually just so costly. Like, that really didn't work out well at all for Reynor. Obviously, hindsight is everything. We saw that the mutas ended up being pretty bad, but it was just something else. So this game shouldn't be as severe. And you can see immediately starts up the 1-1 upgrades this time. I think that's a really good full fix from what we saw last time. Obviously, again, different game, no Spire, but just seeing that he's prioritizing that super quickly, that definitely will make a difference.
Yeah, good focus fire there for MarineLord. At least will net himself 2 drones. So identifying that, you know, I can't unsiege this Liberator anymore. It's dead. So gets something out of it at least. And at the same time, he's going to move out with this little army. In the last game, yeah, very difficult decision still to make for Reynor, because if you don't get that 1-1, you at least have the chance to have a more crushing kind of defense with the Mutilating Bane to start. And we never even saw that, right? But you're right. I mean, the push that killed them did have a 1-1 from MarineLord. And talk about push that kills you. This is already a very annoying position.
Oh, the Evo Chimp survives, though. Great transfusions. And I mean, now this tank is forfeit as well. Wow. Clutch from Reynor. If that Evo Chamber actually dies, well, we just talked about the problem of upgrades, right? So, yeah, it was almost scripted, but nice save from Reynor. Almost felt like an essential save. And obviously nice because he gets a tank out of it as well.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, MarineLord right now, he's a little bit exposed, but Reynor in this early to mid games, he hasn't been able to put out a lot of pressure. I would love to see Reynor go through the top of the map, through the north, and kind of into that third base. Those run-bys can be really annoying on this map. These Liberators are going to siege onto a Spore. Let's see if the Spore can get taken down before it takes down the Liberator. It looks like not. The medevac will pick up. Actually, the Spore does get taken down, and that's amazing for MarineLord, as he will be able to leverage this zones for his Marines to kind of just pick up. There's no anti-air. The Queens are going to struggle to go back into the main. I'm not sure why he's unsieging right now, actually.
I think he wants to cover the ramp a little bit more so he can really stop the Queens from coming up. Now the Spore gets into position, though, and now the Liberators are in trouble, but he will get another Queen at least before he goes down. I would actually say this was worth it because it actually took a lot of attention from Reynor. It took a lot of units to clean up. That was actually a really cool move. I mean, especially in early game, Liberator has been used in amazing ways, but he needs to not let this blow up a mineral line. Cats, you asked for it. You wanted Reynor to counterattack. There you go.
Yeah, and that was 15 SCVs plus a couple mules as well. So really, really well done by Reynor. But this is an annoying position for MarineLord down this ramp. It is an open space, but it is still down a ramp from Reynor. And MarineLord just lost enough that I feel like he has to feel like he's pretty committed to this attack. Let's see if he's able to make some magic happen, because he's trailing way behind in economy. Reynor from every which angle here will crush MarineLord at this position. And with that, the game is looking for the first time in every game so far in favor of Reynor come the mid game.
Yeah, no, that was it was like a couple Marines as well, which like there was a real clump of them, not just a couple, that could have just split as well, and it would have just helped so much, but they all took the same Baneling shots, and that's just a little something you got to be a bit better than. And target fire there was not good enough. He got 2 of the 4 Banelings, but if you're going to target fire them, you need to get all of them.
Yeah, exactly, because otherwise, yeah, he just lost 8 of his 16 Marines in turn, so that does not work out, as one medevac will go home sad and empty. On the other side, these 2 medevacs are trying to do something to contain the creep. But the efforts of MarineLord, I mean, if you're MarineLord, I think you're looking to stabilize, maybe just sit back a little bit. You've taken a lot of losses. I don't know that you're going to be able to make things happen on the aggression, but he is getting those siege units. He is getting those anchors in tanks, in Liberators, and ultimately this planetary fortress as well. So maybe he can find a way to stabilize and drag out the game to where it can swing back in his favor.
Yep, let's see as a couple of Banes get targeted down just then. That's obviously a nice little something as we just continue through this top side trying to fight. Libs really will help out a lot at times here, as we have a drop top right being denied. Reynor has the potential of counterattacking through the bottom, and that's going to be scary for MarineLord as well. As the Swing Bane starts to run through, yeah, it's going to be that counterattack, but it gets deflected immediately. I mean, MarineLord's been really good at never letting Reynor get away with counterattacks pretty much the entire series. I know there's been a couple, obviously, we just saw 15 Bane, SCVs died to a Bane run by, but
yeah,
in terms of like big Ling Bane counters when his main army's on the map, that's like something he's been very good at throughout. However, this attack's going to start up, and it is just kind of Reynor from, again, every angle. And then you just have nowhere to split to. It's also 2-2 for the Zerg against 1-1 of the Terran. That upgrade lead going a long way. And again, just imagine if that Evo Chamber earlier in the game had died. Even this fight now would have been affected by it. That was such a clutch save going back a few minutes ago.
Yeah, completely agreed. And this is where I really would have liked for MarineLord to sit back for a little bit longer. I mean, he keeps going out on the map. He has done a good job with the creep. He has done a good job of deflecting those counterattacks that you were talking about. But I mean, you're just not ready. It's reminiscent of the earlier series between Big Gabe and Showtime, where Big Gabe moved out seemingly a little bit earlier than he needed to, right? Like, you don't have enough anchor units. You have like 2 Liberators and 2 tanks. Yeah, the Liberators are mostly unanswered because the Queens can't go off creep and there isn't really a Spire available for Reynor. But it's not enough, I think, to justify you being out on the map while trying to re-establish an economy.
It's going to be seen a few Marines top left moving around there. A few Marines top right are chilling as well. Any gold minerals being mined away. Does our Ling Bane force? And it's going to come back around. The thing is, there's just so many spores and stuff right now. It's like MarineLord showing up to a base. He's killing like static defense rather than jumping on drones. And that's obviously not great because static defense is extremely replaceable. It just feels like he's never really finding the same kind of value as he used to be.
Yeah, that's very interesting how that works, right? Like, you have to kill the spore, otherwise you're risking all of your army if you move on forward because the medevac cannot chase. And if the medevac can't chase, then you can't pick it up when the units of Reynor come to answer inevitably. So you gotta get rid of those spores. The priority is there for MarineLord, but they buy enough time for Reynor as well. And once again, in the middle of the map, I mean, you don't have enough. I feel like if you're MarineLord, Reynor is gonna collapse onto it, and actually a little bit better trace than I was expecting from the side of MarineLord, but still, it's enough for the Italian.
It felt like MarineLord almost killed all the Lings on the left side before Widowmine went off on it. And if that Widowmine just didn't fire for another second, I think he would have gotten a lot of the Banelings that were then rolling in instead. And that would have been really cool. MarineLord's supply is still kind of even here, by the way. He's going to go chasing down these Queens. If he can get rid of these Banelings... Oh, the Banes! Man, how are these Banes getting through? The Widowmines just blow up the Marines, and that's going to be the end of this little attack through the top, which was looking very hopeful. Yeah, he does have a few more Marauders showing up, but there's a lot of Lings here, and man, we just need an Overseer to clean up these Widowmines. It's an absolute minefield right now, and one of them connects.
Yeah, we really, really do. Also, the medevacs have been unanswered. Finally, Aspire on the side of Reynor. But MarineLord has done an amazing job of catching back up in economy. I mean, if we look at the workers, he's actually ahead of Reynor, in spite of what happened earlier, right? Reynor, the type of player that a lot of the time we see get to those 90, 100 workers in this matchup. But I feel like he maybe evaluated the game to where like he did enough damage that his opponent had to all in into him or something like that. And MarineLord has done a good job of kind of applying the pressure while still macroing up. So maybe Reynor a little bit confused by this huge parasitic bomb. Now the medevacs will split, so that's nice for MarineLord. Maybe if you retreat back to those mines, you can still trade effectively, and somehow he's getting to max. And look at Reynor's supply, wordy.
Yeah, it's just down. He's been taking really bad fights recently. Like, really bad fights. It's funny, he didn't even need to split the medevacs because he's parasitic bombed every single one of them. He's going to deny the gold base. He's got his own gold up and running. He's got the top left up and running. I think there's a couple Banes maybe top left about to connect into the base, but looks as though it's just Lings and they get turned around by a planetary. I mean, MarineLord's just still pushing forward, man. He's just going into the top right side, and Reynor on his way to Aspire and Ultra Cavern. All of these things are great. I tell you what, it is great killing off every single Widowmine before they burrow. Okay, but there's a lot of them, and there's still a few left. Over to the left-hand side, MarineLord is once again up 30 army supply, though, and still pushing forward. Ling Bane running through. There's only 3 Banelings. They're going off on Marauders. A few more Banelings start to join the run in towards this Terran army. There are so many Widowmines here that are just surviving fight after fight and finding ridiculous amounts of value.
Yeah, and I feel like Reynor could have maybe pounced on those Widowmines towards the end of that fight because they were still on cooldown. Now they're gonna get reactivated. There was 2 Overseers available this time around, which we've been lacking surprisingly from Reynor in this game. Now the Vipers are doing what they can to mitigate things and kind of try to restabilize Reynor. But I mean, MarineLord in this time has situated extra command centers, now soon to be turned into orbitals, if not already orbital commands on his side of the map. So his economy is looking stellar, and that has been his stronghold throughout the series, in spite of losing every worker at his third base earlier.
Yeah, you know, the last few fights were just really great for him, and right now Widowmine's going to try and set up at the front a little bit, and Widowmine, he actually might... Well, it lasted a long time, but didn't actually connect on anything. the splits are actually good enough that these Banes are just not trading effectively, as Reynor again struggling in supply. MarineLord is rallying up to the top side. There's some units surrounding some other units in the center as well. Looks like Ling's got to fight on just some Marines there, and there wasn't the support needed, but then the rest of the units showing up. I mean, it's back and forth. I tell you what, though, with Ultras on the map, surely this has got to turn a little bit in favor in Reynor, right? Surely you can stop some of these just constant onslaughts of attacks that we're seeing.
But can he? I mean, they're not going to be a huge surprise. There's already Liberators and Liberator range on the way.
Yeah,
and
true.
2 Marauders, now 4 Marauders being produced at a time, actually, from MarineLord. So this is not the type of transition where it's like last game or on Oxide with the Lurkers, where I was thinking, okay, like he's been on low tech, but now with the Lurkers, he'll be able to stabilize because it's mostly Marines and Mines. No, this time MarineLord is kind of ahead of the transition of Reynor. So as long as he can just kind of consolidate his army and bring forth those Liberators, bring forth everything that he needs, those Marauders, and maybe even continue with the Widowmine production, I think he'll be fine.
This is a horrible fight, though, right? I mean, he just got caught in a corner. All of his units were kind of getting stacked up in the wrong ways, and now he's got Marines gonna... Okay, the space gets cancelled. He's got Murdervax just flying past, and obviously now you've got to unload, and that's another 20 supply basically being forfeit here. He will load back up. Obviously, this damage from the Parasitic Bomb is not going to be enough to kill the Medivacs. You should probably like drop one bomb and then a few seconds later drop the other, so they actually do stack some splash damage on each other, but didn't matter there, as we do see forces in the center. Well, I mean, these libs are doing okay. The Ultras seem as though they're going unanswered, which is kind of crazy, because like you said, those libs coming up, they're just never in the right place at the moment.
Yeah, again, shades of the throw on Oxide, right? Where you, instead of just grouping up your entire army that looks very adept at killing the army of Reynor right now, you're still trying to kind of outmaneuver and being everywhere at the same time. And while that has netted MarineLord some results, this is what I want to see, right? Like just kind of a frontal push with those Liberators sieging, just making it more difficult for the Ultras to engage. 3 Corruptors finally on the way for Reynor. Like, Reynor is getting some army complexity. I would love to see an Infestor or 2 just to hold Bio Army in place. But yeah, MarineLord still looking good. Reynor, though, looking better than he was a couple of minutes ago, no doubt.
No, absolutely. He is well back on track again. He was down 20, 30 army supply points, and it just doesn't matter. He's able to find the fight and turn it around. In the end, he survives until he can get that fight. This Lib down here is in a really powerful position, as this one's going to go and harass. Obviously, what's going to be interesting now is you have 6 bases each, right? And so the next base for either of these players would be one of the contested bases, 12 o'clock or 6 o'clock. And if you can't take one of those, then you've got to start trading more efficiently than your opponent. Right now, that's good for MarineLord. So we'll see if that's kind of something that happens. We'll see if maybe Reynor can get the top side base. It's going to be difficult because MarineLord's going to put a lot of pressure down here. And this is a fresh base, so Reynor needs to put some attention on keeping this 6th base alive still.
Yes, indeed. I mean, there was a 5-head move with the Spore repositioning there against the Liberator from Reynor, but that's for later as the game is getting heated up right now. And now Reynor looking for counterattack damage here. There is some Widow Mines. That's going to pose some problems for the Ling Bane portion of this army. Only 2 Ultras as a backbone also. So not ideal. These Liberators are super, super strong. And there is now a Liberator siege line that the Ultras are going to have to run through. But here come the Corruptors, and they are the answer to the Liberator. Reynor from every angle here, now collapsing onto MarineLord. Amazing job from him on the cleanup. And MarineLord plummeting in supply.
The Liberators are killing the Corruptors, though. I mean, that ain't meant to happen, as we do see Libs sieging up to try and protect over here. The Planetary will be surrounded by SCVs, but they're getting surrounded by Lings and Ultras. And yeah, the supply from MarineLord is plummeting. But I tell you what, he is like a few shots away on some of these Ultras from just being ahead on supply as well, right? Like, that's how close this game really is. Like, some key units are just surviving with like a little bit too much health. And otherwise, it might be a very different story. I mean, MarineLord's in a survivable position, though, right? Because coming out of this, you're in a setup right now where you're still trading a little bit better, only by a couple thousand resources. You've still got all your bases to work with. I think the biggest question is, can you make sure Reynor doesn't get a 7th base up? You know, denying that 12 o'clock, basically. If he can do that, he's still going to be in an alright spot. And Blackburn's a weird map where he doesn't necessarily need to be forcing a lot of these fights if he's just keeping Reynor on the right side of the map.
Yeah, an odd conversation there to be had as well is these Queens just used a lot of their energy in transfuses, and that's going to be not a lot of inject. So Reynor does have a good amount of larva set up, 18, but I mean, if he remaxes on Lings at some point, that could end up becoming an issue should he trade ineffectively here, because those Queens, I mean, they heal up the Ultras, but it's not at no cost, and there's only 5 of them. Now, Reynor looking for a planetary fortress here. MarineLord already thinking about landing the orbital in its place while he threatens the south side.
This is better for MarineLord, though. This is a fresher base from Reynor on the bottom side compared to what he has in the top left. There's way less minerals and gas available on that top left from MarineLord, so I'm way happier for him to just take this out. And look at that. Supply blocked Reynor. He doesn't have minerals to make overlords.
Oh, my God.
Uh-oh. That's bad. That's really bad.
This is getting a little bit dangerous. Again, the larva count is there for Reynor. 22 larva, but that'll go fast if Reynor needs to make circlings. And I mean, it's not like he has too many options in terms of what units he wants to be making. The ghosts are now making their way onto the field, and some snipes have been brutal here for Reynor. Oh my God.
He's losing everything to snipe.
What is this series?
Yeah, I mean, these snipes are just insane. And he's got more snipes on the bottom side. He just got up the ghosts here, MarineLord. And it feels like Reynor's just not really respecting the ghosts at all. He's running into these fights and he's having a bad time with it. MarineLord might be about to surround this Zerg army as we're going to see Corruptors flying through the libs. The Ultras are going to try and close the distance. Parasitic bombs are flying off. The Queens are coming in very slowly. There's an army of MarineLord on the south that could help out. It could be on the way, but it's AFK. Might not matter because MarineLord has a bit too much here, honestly, right? I mean, there's just nothing from Reynor anymore. Queens, Lings, Corruptors, none of them are going to do it. MarineLord gets the upset, 3-1, and an amazing series just all around.